Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Mother, take us, hold our hand from unreal to real. Take us from darkness of ignorance to the bright light of knowledge and wisdom. Take us, Mother, from death to immortality. Jagat Janani Mother, the Mother of the universe, bless us that we, at the end of this session, each one of us go away with your blessings and learning to take on today's journey on meditation. May we be blessed by Babaji, Kalpa Yogi Mahavatar Babaji, the Deathless Master. Krishna, grant us the boon of Yoga Kshema, Brahma Vishnu Maheshwara. Paramahamsa Yogananda, with his blessing, Yukteswar Giri, Sri Sri Lahiri Mahasaya. We seek the knowledge, the wisdom and the blessings of Swami Sri Vivekananda, Holy Mother Sharada, Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. May we be blessed by the Supreme Brahman, Supreme Wisdom. By the end of it, we attain some wisdom and knowledge on Vedanta. Welcome. We start with the salutations and we shall talk on some things. We all love to go for meditation. Have you noticed if somebody asks you, can you pick up 200 kgs of weight? You said 200 kg? No way. If somebody asks you, can you go for a 30 kilometers marathon run? The 30 kilometer, I'm not in shape. I have to practice, whatever be your age. Even younger children smile and say, 30 kilometer. So we know our limitations for physical prowess, physical limitations. But supposing somebody asks you, can you sit for 30 minutes for meditation? You say, yeah, no problem. But the meditation is today a $1 billion project all over the world. It is being taught to everyone. Housewives, the husbands, the grandparents, the children in the school, in the colleges, in the universities, in the big research centers, in corporate and multinational corporations. There is meditation hall in big companies. There is meditation before you start the day. There is meditation at the end of the day in our school, Victoria's Kids Educators. There is meditation halls even in the airports. And unfortunately, quite a few of the airport that we see, and there are powerful, blazing light, glittering, duty-free shops, beautiful things to eat, and it is announced there is meditation center. So when you look for it, it is right next to the toilet in many of the airports. Of least priority. Everybody knows and everybody wants to meditate, but they all say, I am not ready as yet. When I get old, when I get more time. And apparently, everybody is late to go to sleep and late to wake up and then race for the office and the time and the chores to do, taking the breakfast also while driving, or somehow munching something if you're going in a public transport, or not eating breakfast. So before we start on understanding the meditation, we need to understand a little bit about the background of this meditation and its coupled with the rest of the religions of the world, and particularly with the angle of Advaita Vedanta. And then we should touch upon the essential points on meditation. We have got, before you start meditation, 10 essential points we should talk about. And to start with, we should start with the story of the most ancient, the richest heritage till today, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. How did it all start? As per Vishnu Puran, as per Bhagavatam, this story is given. Vishnu lying in Sheshanaga, 1,000-headed, the mythical serpent in which Vishnu is sleeping. This serpent Sheshnag is none other than Patanjali himself. Now, as the Purana story goes, on this earth, people get disturbed, they're not happy, they're sad, there are quarrels, there are desires, there are cravings, there is sicknesses, disease, and misery and suffering. So all the saints and the rishis and the monks, naturally, they go down to Lord Vishnu. They all came to Lord Vishnu and said, we have problems. We have Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the knowledge of life. Veda knowledge, Ayur is life. But all these plants and the flowers and the seeds, they're in short supply. And there are seasonal changes. When you don't get them, we want something by which we attain the peace of mind, we attain the highest of the science of how to speak, how to write, and we attain the science of perfect health. Lord Vishnu, you are the creator of this universe. You please give us this wisdom. So there are two stories in this, little variation. So Lord Vishnu gently blessed the rishis, the monks, and he looked up at Sheshanaga. And Patanjali Sheshanaga nodded his head. He took birth as Patanjali in human form. He wanted to teach the entire mankind the highest of the science of the meditation, and he was to teach also how through the meditation you purify and cure all things related to mind, all things related to body. The body is sthula sharira, gross body. Mind, as per yoga, is sukshma sharira. It is also a body. And a body, to get it under control, it is compared with the training of an elephant by one of the great monks. His name is Swami Ashoka. And this book, I would be referring to quite a bit of information from here. Meditation by the monks of Ramakrishna order. It's a very powerful book. This is a book made of lots of essays, in which one of the essays before you start for meditation. I'm going to take you back to Patanjali. Patanjali said, okay, I shall teach till you get 1,000 students, then only I will teach. So the people, the disciples, they went around and searched for people and youth. They all managed to get 1,000. Patanjali said, there is a rule. I'm going to teach from this elevated stage. There will be a curtain. You are not allowed to look inside the curtain. The curtain will cover up 1,000 students sitting, and I will be teaching from here without speaking. And you all will learn everything. So 1,000 students sat down. Patanjali was this side of the curtain was drawn. The rule 2, nobody is allowed to lift the curtain till the time Patanjali finishes teaching and comes out. If you do, you will die. Very severe rule. The consequences of the third condition is you will instantly be burnt, because the power of that knowledge is so high, you will not be able to tolerate it. So everybody agreed. Patanjali started. And as time went past, students were surprised. There is no sound. And yet, everybody sitting in meditation and everybody getting their head packed with information and knowledge. And it is pouring into it. It just so happened, one of the boys suddenly had to go for a nature's call. He quietly couldn't speak, couldn't take permission, quietly left. 999 sitting. One of the boy who was right in the front, he was thinking, I'm amazed. How am I getting so much of information? Let me just see. So he picked up a little bit of curtain. Human mind, remember Adam and Eve? They were not to eat the fruit, and Eve had to give it to Adam, and both of them ate the fruit. The Garden of Eden. Same thing here. As the boy picked up the curtain, and he was shocked. He saw that there is nothing at the back. Infinite universe, dazzling light, which he couldn't see anything from this side, and a 1,000-headed serpent, fire raging, and the Virata Rupa, which Arjuna saw as it was explained in Bhagavad Gita. The entire consciousness in the universe, 1,000-headed serpent, fire raging, and the planets and the stars. And this boy fainted. However, the curtain was lifted, so that energy leaked out from there a little bit and burnt everybody. Patanjali, seeing what had happened, even immediately he came back to his human form and came and said, alas, alas. And what were they alas for? What would happen to all my training of 999 boys, everybody? He thought that it was all 1,000. That boy who had gone for a little break, he comes and says, sorry, sir, I had to go. So, Patanjali embraced him instead of getting angry. He says, it's a divine grace that I have at least one student left. And he started training him. And it says he was very serious student. He learned and he had to write down into this papyrus paper. And as he kept writing those, and he kept piling it up and packing it. And eventually his training finished and he graduated. And Patanjali went back as Sheshanag. Mind you, not these days. No computer, no backing of cloud, no hard disk. So he packs his stuff and he says, I'm going to go back to my village and start opening up a school immediately and start training. He's now fully trained. On the way, travel, exhausted, hot sun, he sits under a tree and has a little drink of water and whatever food he had, and goes for that whole stack of his written down scriptures on the leaf is right next to him, and he dozes off a little bit in a sleep. Just so happened there was a goat, and the goat was moving around and he sees a nice bunches of leaves. He comes and starts chewing it off and eating it up. And this boy wakes up and he hurriedly covers it up, shoes off the goat. Part of the Patanjali which is missed out, it has got another sutra that is gone, what goat ate up. Rest of it he took carefully, went back and started teaching. It teaches three things. Number one is meditation. Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Yoga Chitta Duksha Vritti Nirodhaha. It removes all the sufferings from the mind and Chitta and Vritti. And then Panini Vyakarana. Two. First is Chitta Vritti Duksha Nirodhaha. Second, Vyakarana. How to speak, how to write, the entire knowledge of Panini. And the third is the higher sense of yogic Hatha Yoga, how to stay in good health. Three sciences, Patanjali left it with Panini. As it is given down in some of the Western scholars today, in Harvard it is written down in Divinity of Schools that Panini possibly have been the first true yogi who's written down things. Now, like you train an elephant, you have to train the body. You have to train the mind. We know the limitations of our physical body, but we do not know the limitations of our mind. We say 30 minutes meditation, no problem. We do not know how difficult it is. Everybody wants to learn to meditate, and everybody finds it very difficult to sit still. And they will jump up and go away. I'll do the rest tomorrow. I'll do the rest in the evening. I'll rest to do in the afternoon. And it doesn't happen. I'll do the rest when I grow a little old, when I will have a little more time from my company, from my office, and whatever excuses we keep on giving. Now, if an elephant wants to go somewhere, the rider, the mahout, cannot control the elephant because the elephant is too big. The body of ours is too strong to the rider who is the intellect, buddhi. And that is Sthula Sharira, body, too big. And so is the Sukshma Sharira, is the mind, is too big. So what do? You train an elephant through a cut, barricade it, and train the elephant. Training, training, training. Then the elephant is, once it is trained, you find it great fun in riding the elephant. And the elephant may want to go to the left towards the bunch of banana trees to eat them, but you can easily ride it to the right. Elephant listens to your slightest pressure of the feet. Training. Now, in the ancient time, they found that from eons together, in all religion, this experiencing religion is experiencing God. And it has been written down, talked about, spoken about by many thousands who have experienced God. In the devotional practices, you have to have faith in devotion, faith in book. Every religion has a book. Faith in Guru. But faith you have to have. And if you, in today's world, everybody says Show me. If it is true, why can't I see God? Explain to me. Explanation is not enough. So it lands up into disbelief. But experiencing, which Vivekananda asked Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, which Paramahamsa Yogananda asked Yukteswar Giri, will you give me samadhi? And with Jesus Christ went at the bound of the sermon and gave it to his disciples, and the great masters over time and again have explained. So similarly here, in the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is explained that experience is the ultimate through the mind, through the body. If you may disbelieve and argue with others' experience. You remember the famous story of under a tree and chameleon. Somebody went there and saw it and he said it is red in color. Another had seen the chameleon and changed to green. He said, no, it is green in color. Another one said it has got no color. Another one said it is brown in color. They all said, let's go to the tree and see. They go to the tree and there is a guy who's sitting down there. They ask, have you seen the chameleon? He said, yes, many times. I stay here only in this tree. And when he heard from each one of them, he said, all of you are right. The chameleon keeps changing color. Same thing is here. You may disbelieve others' experience, but you will not disbelieve your own experience. So, Advaita Vedanta takes the Patanjali and has gone ahead and has borrowed the knowledge and coupled them, combined them, right from ancient Hinduism, after that Buddha, about 3,000 years, and in between Buddha and Hinduism is the Patanjali. Whether Patanjali was before or Buddha was before, there is a lot of question and doubt on that. I shall just come on to it. And then from Buddhism, it goes on to Jainism. Almost every religion has got some. There is some, even in Sikhism, there is some Kundalini yoga meditation processes there. There is Tibetan Buddhism. There is Buddhism in Zen in China and Japan. There is Tantric meditation. There is Vaishnava's meditation. There is Bhairava by the Kashmiri Shaiva meditation, and like that. Meditations and meditations. So when you see Sankhya philosophy brought out the scriptures on consciousness. You couple that with the Buddhisms, couple that with the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, couple that with the logic of the ancient India's Nyaya, Sankhya. You to understand the logic and the scriptures of Upanishads. So mix Buddhism, Jainism, all the meditation techniques. Bring in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which is eventually you will come to see it is pre-Buddhism. Purva Mimamsa goes ahead and tells you how to understand Upanishads, how to understand the logic, Nyaya Shastra of ancient India. And when you couple all of them together and put Brahman on top, it becomes Advaita Vedanta. So notice the Advaita Vedanta is not like the experiencing is by doing through Patanjali, but that is also a very important part of it. So when we keep talking about why Advaita, it is a beautiful combination of harmony of all religion and the ancient, very powerful Upanishads and Nyaya and Purva Mimamsa. Sankhya also has been brought in. And then you put in the little topping of the Brahman, and there you have Advaita Vedanta. A wonderful product. You open it up, it comes made in China. All of them are mixed up together. This meditation of the Vedanta Sara, which is a book, Vedanta Sara, if you go through, this is the first book. If you, we have done a little bit of discussion on this, I think about 2 sessions. When you go through that, it is talking primarily of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. All Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Remember Yama and the Niyama? 2 do's and don'ts. Very important. Ahimsa, Satya, Aparigraha, Ashtya, Brahmacharya. Recollect? And Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. 5 plus 5. They're very essential. These are 8 limbs of Patanjali. One young man of trained abroad and foreign mixed up and says, I want to learn meditation, and goes to a Patanjali yoga teacher. And Patanjali yoga teacher teaching him the disciplines of Yama first. You have to understand what is Ahimsa, what is Satya. And he said, yes, I have read all of them. You teach me how to sit down and how to breathe and how to meditate. The guru starts to teach him about Niyama. First, you have to cleanse your body, cleanse your mind, saucha, and then Santosha, maintain a calmness of mind. And he says, yes, I've read about them also. So the guru, with a musing, he says, Patanjali yoga and the meditation that I'm going to teach you is an 8-limbed yoga. Ashtalim, Ashtanga. Do you want to learn limbless, part of the limbs missing yoga? आप क्या विकलांग योगा सीखेंगे या अष्टांग योगा सीखेंगे? 8 limbs or vikalanga, missing 2 limbs? Straight away go on to dharana, dhyana. So the same thing is over here, that these essential ingredients for us to understand and truly get into a successful meditative state. Each one of these, many of people will say, we don't want to read, we want to practice. Yes, of course. You may go to a library and read a lot of books and talk about it, but not practice is not going to do anything. You're not going to achieve anything until or unless. But if you practice without reading any book, just 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, you're started. And soon enough, over time, you will. You may not have read any book, but start doing exercise every day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you will have a fitter body. And now if you read, understand, realize it, experience it and practice it, that is becoming more scientific. And this is the way that we are taking us across into this journey. The other part of the story of Patanjali's, when all the rishis and the saints approached Lord Vishnu, he was in Sheshanag, Ananta Nidra. This Ananta Nidra of Vishnu's state, they approached and they asked, and Ananta Nidra Vishnu gave birth to Brahma through the navel, and a lotus emerged. And as Brahma, which is described in Patanjali's Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg of the golden womb, he actually Vishnu diverted his entire task of creation of the world and gave it to vendor called Brahma in our language today. Brahma, as he came and took birth, as per the Puranic story goes on, Bhagavad Puran, he was totally dazed. He didn't know where he's come. He's just born. He couldn't understand anything. So, and Vishnu is an Anantaridra, not telling him. But Brahma, he closed his eyes and started to meditate. And he immediately realized, and he gave birth to Saraswati, to Gayatri and Savitri, three consorts, and it goes on thereafter in the creations of the world. This is the other part of the story. Now, there is a talk goes on which is, Buddha, he went out and he wanted to find the answer. He said there are suffering, there are causes of suffering, there is reason for suffering, and you can also find a way out of the suffering through Eightfold Path, 4 problems. He went around and he found first, it is there in mention, I will talk out, this is just for your academic, very beautiful information. I was very interested in finding out and I'm itching to share with you all the name of the first 2 gurus of Buddha, and they were from Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the gurus. The first gurus, Buddhist gurus, Alata Karma. Alata Karma was the first guru, and Uddhata Karma was the second guru. And these 2 gurus, whatever he is quoted about in his ancient script, one could see that it is from Patanjali. Buddha went ahead, learnt them, but did not agree with them. So Buddha went ahead and started his own discoveries. Vipassana meditation is one of them. And that is the Buddhist meditation. And from there, today, world over, $1 billion project going around everywhere is called mindfulness meditation. We have done a little practice, one of our meditation session on the mindfulness meditation, which is also a part of. So now, what Advaita Vedanta meditation, which is by Shankaracharya, not 8 limbs, but 15 limbs, which we have talked about when we went ahead in our explanation on a parigraha. So, we will not get into that detail right now. Advaita Vedanta has taken all of them and has gone ahead and given the ways of the meditation. The entire beautiful preparations of explanations and combination of all of them, of the Patanjali, of the Sankhya, of the Upanishads, and of all the other, including the Buddhism, the Vipassana, the Sikhisms, the Islam, Sufis, meditation, everything put together, particularly of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Swami Vivekananda in 1895 wrote the first book in New York in his first ashram called the Raja Yoga. It's the classic text. And today there is a beautiful book called Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, Hyde. Happiness Hypothesis, in which he is talking about every young man and woman in the world, and particularly he is an American, the American boys and girls must carry a copy of this book with them as they grow up to the man and the womanhood. That powerfully, this Raja Yoga. You'd be very surprised and happy to know that the famous 4 books of Swami Vivekananda, He actually used to meditate on each one of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and he would open his eyes and there was the lady, she was waiting to write with the nib dipped into the ink and start to write it as Vivekananda would speak. And this is how he published Raja Yoga. He published Karma Yoga also in New York. He also published Jnana Yoga, part of it, and part of it, it was published in UK by Vivekananda himself. In part of it, the first part, Jnana Yoga in New York, second part in UK. And similarly, the Bhakti Yoga was published in New York. So these are called classic texts. Why is it classic? As I was explaining to you, that there was a talk and a contest whether Buddha's meditative techniques is before or Patanjali is before. So study shows that Alata Karma, etc., the gurus, and Vilata Karma, they were both absolutely a Patanjali yogi, and they had taught him the initial. From there he learned and he developed more, and on which came on the Vipassana and many other meditation. There are 118 meditations as per Tibetan Buddhism. And similarly, the Shiva, Kashmiri Shaivism, Bhairava, there are also given 108 different types of dharana and the meditation still. So there are many diversions and all that. But Vivekananda brought it and made it modern, and Patanjali Yoga Sutra took on in a big way to the world. And you know, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, Deepak Chopra, and SSY Guru, Siddha Samadhi Yogi, they all three are actually the Mahesh Yogi's disciple. Mahesh Yogi was teaching transcendental meditation based on Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and they were all from India, had diverted to many. Mahesh Yogi went off to America and New York, and in one of the time when he came back to India, his brother friends went and asked him, why are you teaching this yoga and saying that if you learn this yoga, you will have beautiful skin, you will live very long, you will have no quarrels, you will be in very good love and good relationship, you will learn, maintain. But this is not what the yoga and the meditation was meant for. So Mahesh Yogi answered very beautifully. He said, I quite like his answer. He had said, I give them what they want today, so that I can give them what I want to give them tomorrow. So the first, let them understand the power of this, and then I will give them which is mentally primarily to go and to attain oneness with the Supreme Brahman. Through the yogic process, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there in near Jharkhand, there is one center where the master, once he takes the master, he enters a cave and he never comes out till he dies. They follow that kind of a strict rules on Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Near Jharkhand, there is a center, and we have done a little understanding of that. They're very strict, and Patanjali Yoga Sutra is specific those 8 limbs and doing them. In Advaita Vedanta, you're utilizing them, but along with that, you go ahead and understand them, apply it, and experience them. Yoga Sutra also Patanjali is experiencing, but here you have to understand it. Not just doing it, but understand it. And then automatically it becomes your own knowledge. Now, we will get on to the Swami Ashoka's before you sit for meditation. 10 rules. Rule 1 is regularity. You must do every day. And he goes ahead and says, you must do every day without a mistake 3 times a day. If you can't do 3 times, at least do morning and evening. And if you can't do 2 times, at least do 1 time. Somehow in the modern world today, many people cannot do it in the morning. He goes ahead and gives the relaxation. He said, do it at least in the evening. Some people are very groggy and not okay in the morning. They like to do it. They're more awake as the day progresses and become more active and better and more awakened toward the evening. You can do it in the evening. But do you must every day, ideally at least twice a day. Ideal repetition of these exercises, he talks about the mind is not going to 30 minutes of meditation being sitting still. It's very difficult. That's why most people say, not now, when I grow old, when I finish my chores of the world, when I have a little more time, I am not meant for it. Vedanta says, no, you are ready. You have infinite power within you. Just know only who you are, is Vivekananda saying again and again. He says, realize who you are. It is like mind is also body. Sukshma Sharira. It needs training, just like the physical body. Intellect says, it was nice listening to the talk. I keep listening to all these YouTube and session, and I must start every day morning, straight away, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's not going to work out. It's going to start up maybe 2 days or 3 days, and after that it's going to fall flat. So, golden rule is go steady. Whatever you like to do, moderate it, do a little, bring a balance. Slowly increase so that you can go ahead. We'll go ahead and give you many examples. It is that mind is like a rearing, jumping horse who you're going to train. Horse is going to throw you off. But if you can hold on to the seat, holding on to the seat is Abhyasa Yoga, practicing every day. And then he goes ahead and talks about practicing spirituality is in the mind. Paramahansa Ramakrishna says, Mone, Bone, Kone. Meditate in your mind, meditate in the forest in those days, and meditate in the corner of your house. He is talking about, I'm going to share with you some of the notes we have taken. We generally tend to say, I'm very tired, I feel very sleepy. And as you go on to, you have experience, as we used to have Sundays, as we start to talk, even on the Sunday sessions, you tend to go off to sleep, doze off. Why do you do that? Your mind actually is being through the day in the morning hours or later. And now, as you start to hear a soothing voice and a soothing, beautiful ambience is created, your mind tends to doze off. So what do you do then? It is all right if you go off to sleep. Don't have to blame and curse yourself. But as soon as you come up, continue to do it. And second, pay attention to your breath, breathing. Just watch your breath. If you pay attention to the breath, your mind will not go off to sleep. There are, if you visit any bookshop, there are so many self-help centers, self-motivation centers, so many books. Dale Carnegie, you remember? How to make friends, how to win friends, how to be a good speaker, how to series. There are so many. These books are there, and it's just by reading them, if we were to change our lifestyle, we would have changed our lifestyle. Why isn't the life changing? This is because, remember, we are lethargic about sitting into this because it takes effort, not going outwards with the 5 senses, which is taking us outwards all the time, and we forget to go inwards. And all the wealth and the mind requires training. Wild elephant training, wild horse training. Training is repetition over time. Training is repetition over time. And first is regularity. Second, we tend to say, when I become a little better, more spiritual, more bent of mind, then only I will start. That is, we are just eluding ourselves. That is ignorance. When you're feeling very cold, will you say, first let me feel warm, then I will go to the fire? No. You will, to feel warm, you will go to the fire. Same way, when your mind is disturbed, when you're suffering, when you're sick, when you're scared of COVID-19, start off immediately. Seek the help. And training, training, training. Repetition, repetition, repetition. The second point is time. As it is given down, and Swami Ashoka ji is also mentioning that there are 4 sandhikshans, the junctions of the time when the nature gives us a beautiful time to be peaceful and calm. The first opportunity that you wake up from sleep. Yesterday's impressions have gone over through dreams and slept and calmed down. Your mind is calm. It's a beautiful time. Very good time is Brahma Muhurta, starts from 3:30 onwards till about 6:30 or so, depending on the place, approximately about this time. So most of the ashramas in YSS, it starts up at 5:30 in the morning, and public sessions with the exercise start off from 7 o'clock in the morning. You have sessions 6 o'clock in the morning, and in those who wanting to become monk, for them it starts up in, let's say, Ramakrishna Mission. They have to get up at 3:30 and 4 o'clock they have to go down, and they can meditate up to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Both are allowed, but at least 1 hour. Most of the monks, they find it very troublesome to get up so early in the morning. They even complain, what if I fall asleep during the day? I can't get up so early. So the senior monk said it's all right if you go off to sleep, but getting up in the morning is a must. So this is what is called the training, training, training. Over time, suddenly it becomes a very simple, natural way of waking up. I remember my mother and my father, we had to get up at 4:30 in the morning out of the house. By 4 o'clock we had to get up. Every day, 6 days a week. Very young. I was 4 or 5 years of age, including my younger brother, 2.5 years of age. He is 2 years younger to me. And my father used to say, everybody has to go. My mother used to say, let him sleep, younger one. Father said, no, let him come. And we had a beautiful river Ganges and a beautiful strand road. It was empty totally. We used to go and train for 3 hours a day. Today, I find that getting up in the morning, I had to get up actually half an hour before others, because I had to pluck flowers and bel patta for mother's worship. And she would come down, and after she would do her puja, I had to do all that. I was there, my third brother there, and once in a while, younger brother. We all used to do it when they grew up. Getting up in the morning is not an issue because it becomes a training. So are the experienced people and the monk they're sharing today. So this time for sandhikshan. First Brahma Muhurta, second is around 11:30, 12:30. Sandhikshan. You will find all the animals, birds, they become very calm. Third is at the sunrise and the sunset. Sunrise, sunset. Brahma Muhurta goes into sunrise and sunset time. You will find these transitions of the sun going down and sun coming up. Then other one is 12 o'clock at midnight for sandhikshan. So ideally 2 times in the evening junction, morning junction. And if you can, do 3 times, that is at 12 o'clock is the third time. Many times you will find in YSS when you're doing session, there is another session goes on meditation at the afternoon, evening time. So are most of the ashramas and Ramakrishna Mission and things like that, Sardhamat, they all follow that. Time. Vivekananda, we have to make effort to get into meditative mind, and very difficult to hold on to it. It may be a fleeting minute or 2 minutes, or some of you are doing very well and going into many minutes. Vivekananda was finding it difficult to get out of the meditation. He would call people for the lectures and he'll say, start with meditation. He will go into the meditative mood, and it is beautifully written down in New York. He will sit 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and slowly those people will get up and go away. They didn't want to disturb him. Vivekananda used to feel very bad about it. And he then told his American disciples that when you find me more than this time meditating, come into my ear and say this mantra, I will wake up. Notice Paramahansa Ramakrishna used to say the same thing. Same prodigy is continuing over here too. And this meditative mood, there is a time in Long Island, Vivekananda had gone for 6 weeks to stay there. He was very tired roaming around. And 1896, in June and July, he stayed there. In one of them, he went for a walk with his disciples, and there was an oak tree. He said, let us sit down under this oak tree like Buddha and meditate. They sat down to meditate, and he naturally got into his deep meditative state. Thunder shower came, pouring rain, and his disciples were trying to put an umbrella on top of him. He was like a bronze statue. Today there is a bronze rock there in this Long Island, Thousand Island Park, and it is called Vivekananda Rock, where he sat down and he meditated. And hours later, rain came, rain went off, they were all standing, and then he got up and came away. These status, it might sound so nice and about them, but Vivekananda said it is not the birthright of Vivekananda or Buddha or Jesus Christ. He said it is your birthright too. Can you and I start with the first step? Let us start. So now we are gone on to time. Second point was time. First point is regularity. Now we get on to this. Time is also in the holy places. Times are a little different. This is just for your information. You'd be surprised, in Belur Math, which is Vivekananda, which he started, it is 4:30 in the morning is the ideal time. Whereas in Jagannath Puri, it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Whereas it is Vishwanath Kashi is 2 o'clock at night. That is Brahma Muhurta. Even before the Brahma Muhurta, 2 o'clock at night till it is sunrise time. It is Mathura Vrindavan is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, as it is laid down by Swami Brahmananda, who was the first president of Ramakrishna Mission. These are all laid down timings given to them. Talking about meditation, you see the time is rushing fast. I am just now being guided. My Divine Mother Sharadama is telling me we have already crossed quite a bit of time. So what I would do, we will continue this talk on Sunday through the Zoom, but I will not let you not have the other few points. I'll just give one liner on each one of them, and we'll talk on them more on the Sunday and try and finish the whole thing, condense it to 1 hour. First was regularity, second was time, third is place. You must have one place in your house, one corner, one sitting place, and keep that place holy. You should not do it on top of a bed. I used to do that mistake, and I fell down from my bed a couple of times. Luckily, with the divine grace, I never got hurt. In one time, I fell on top of all my books, which were all in a glass shelf. Everything broke. All that area was shattered with glass. Luckily, I wasn't hurt. So remember not to sit high, not more than 1 inch above the ground, and not on the bed. Time, place. After the place comes our thoughts are all the time troubling. Bad thoughts are trying to bombard us. So a very simple way out, when the hooligans and the gundas are trying to bother you and keep you company, try and live with police guys. The hooligans will go away. Have holy thoughts, read holy books, thinking about holy things. And when you do that, just an example, automatically you will find that the bad thoughts will slowly go away. Remember the example of the black stone and the white stone practicing of the Zen meditation? The fifth one is bad company. The bad company automatically takes you, if you're in a room with a lot of black soot, cobwebs, even if you go, your clothes will get stuck with the cobwebs. Sixth is asceticism, tapasya or titiksha, not giving up, holding on to it, practicing good practices whole day, thinking about moderations. If you know that this is my good, if I want to say I should eat so much, I should sleep so much, not too much of sleep, not too much of eating, not too less of eating, not too less of sleeping, moderation. And a golden rule is, if you think this is good enough, cut it down a little bit. Your mind is going to crave for it a little more. Hold on to it. That is what beautifully going to take you across. Then comes the seventh point. Seventh comes is, come to the feel that you're coming in the presence of God. Remove your shoes. Remember? Remove your slippers as you sit down. Remove. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm a professional, I'm a son, I'm a daughter. I am this, I am that type. Just remove it and be only thinking about God. Feel I am entering into a zone of eternity. Eighth point is yearning for God, craving for God. Mumukshatva, mumukshatva, mumukshatva. Ninth is have a bhava, have a feeling, a mindset, like a toothache. Whole day toothache is telling you my tooth is aching. Bhava, that bhava of God. One of the beautiful things is to be around those spiritual places. Make your office a spiritual place. Make your house a spiritual place. Pictures, books, good companies help. Talking about it after dinner, before dinner, after lunch. Talk about other things too. But don't have to keep on talking about COVID-19 only. And have a bhava. And the 10th is holy company. If a holy company tells you, listen, Robbin Ghosh, you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are a divine. Tat Tvam Asi. Automatically the holy companies has that power to imbibe you into you, that feeling of I am that. I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. With this, let's call on today. I loved sharing, as you know, the meditation. These points have helped me a lot. And we're going to take it tomorrow in detail. As we get into the detail, meditation is going on. Start practicing. Don't have to read, listen to it, think of it. Just start practicing. Finding difficult to listen to it, okay, just start practicing. May the Divine Mother, may our Gurus bless us that each one of us utilize these points and start the journey toward Dhyanam. Chitta Vritti Duksha Nirodha. Akasha Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Vayu Shanti, Agnyaya Shanti, Jalaspataya Shanti, Manaha Shanti, Chittaha Shanti, Vritti Shanti. Om Uttaradesha Shanti, Dakshinaya Shanti, Purvadesha Shanti, Paschimaya Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.